Hi everyone, it's Jan with What You Make It, and I am actually re-recording a couple of videos that I had planned for you for World Card Making Day. So this is the third card for World Card Making Day, obviously being made on a day other than World Card Making Day. I was having issues with YouTube and the internet, and I just felt like my camera was not giving you all a good quality view of what I was doing, and so I've done some research and I have a new camera that I'm using, and I would really love your opinion on the differences. I felt like my other camera was really pretty washed out and not giving a good crisp view of the tutorial, and I also felt like it was beginning to autofocus on things that ended up making people feel a little sick. So we're going to try this one, and so this will be our trial. I'm going to use it on the Thanks a Latte card that if you went over to my blog you saw a sneak peek of. I'm going to remake that, and we'll be able to have a real live test to see if we like it. So this is a card actually that I make often. I like having little cards. This will be a 3.5 by 3.5 card when I'm done. And I like making a bunch of those and having them in my stash because I'm sending a little gift, or somebody's done something sweet for me, and these are not ones that I typically send through the mail, but I do want them to be one layer cards. So the way that I make them is I cut a 3.5 inch strip by 7 inches long, and I score it in the middle. And for my initial stamping, and we're going to do a little masking on this, because I'm going to use the Fiskars Latte Love stamp set. Fun, it's great for your friends that love coffee or hot chocolate or whatever, and it has, or tea, and it has some fun little sentiments. Thanks a latte, we're the perfect blend, how have you been, you're tea-rific. This one just stays out near my desk, but this card is one that you can really do kind of an assembly line on it, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to use this background stamp by Hero Arts. It's the Thanks. It has all the words of thanks and all of that, but we're going to put that in the background. So the first stamping that I want to do is of the coffee cup, or coffee mug, and I'm trying to make it look like maybe a Starbucks coffee mug. It has a little sleeve around it. I'm going to do my stamping with Memento so that the little bit of coloring that I want to do with Copics will blend well with that. So I'm going to place that down here, press and get a good impression. We have a very good impression. Clean my stamp off. I just use a little baby wipe. We're done with that. I also need to stamp the steam that's coming up, so I'm going to stamp that. Again, I'm doing this with Memento Tuxedo Black. I like using that when I'm using my Copics because it doesn't cause them to blur and blend and run. And even if you just need to give it just a little moment to dry. So I'm going to color in, and most of the card is white. This is a rustic cream cardstock. I like it. I usually add a few whole coffee beans in with it, so I like how that looks. I'm going to start with my greens, and I am using see here, let you see. I am using G21, G24, and G28. And I am not a Copic instructor, but I will show you what I do. I'm going to, for this small area, it's this area right in here, I'm going to go and put my lightest color G21 down all over, not worrying about shading or anything else. There are some situations where I automatically start with the darkers and work lighter when I'm working on folds in a dress, or some sort of project where there are lots of highlights and shadows. But in this case, it's just a sleeve, and I'm honestly, when I'm making these, I'm sitting in front of a television show that I want to watch, and I'm doing a ton of these because I keep them for myself. I bundle them up, take several of them, put them in a little wrapped package of a ball of twine, from some twine, and people love it. So now I'm going to go with my next darker color in this color family, and that's going to be G24. And now I'm going to begin to give the sense of dimension. A rounded surface is going to be lighter in the middle. Our eye is trained that a rounded surface, let me see if I can find something for us to look at. A rounded surface is lighter in the middle and is darker as it goes off to the side. So I'm going to just pull some darker colors in here, about to the middle, and leave that center kind of bright. I want the very center of it to be the lightest part of it, so that the person that's looking at it sees it and says, oh yeah, that's a round coffee cup. Now I'm going to the darkest green, which is G28, and I'm going to do much less here. Just going to very lightly put in some of that color. A project like this is a really good way to get some practicing done with your Copic markers, because you can't make a horrible mistake. We're not dealing with skin tones and hair and all of those things that can kind of be a little complicated. We're just trying to make a little coffee sleeve look like it is round. So I've gone from my light to my medium to my dark, and now I'm going to go back the other direction and blend it out. I'm going to use G24, which is the medium color, and I'm going to bring that out just a little bit, and it will pick up some of that other green and it'll pull it out, and we won't have such highly defined lines. If I feel like it's not blending well, I'll go back and do a little more blending, and then I'm going to take my lightest green, which is G21, and I'm just going to smooth all that together and blend it together, and you can see fairly quickly we accomplished our green gradient that looks like it is round. Now we could spend a whole lot more time on that, but for the application that I'm going to be using it for, I think I'm going to just stick with this. Now I'm using 2E colors for brown for the spots. I've got E74 and E77, and I just go in. The reason I do the green first is that I can correct any of my mistakes where I jumped over the line or it bled into the circle. I can push that color down into the paper. That's one of the neat things of working with Copics. They saturate the paper top down, but if you put something else on top of them, you can push that color further into the paper, virtually erasing it from your project, so you get a nice clean mix there. And I'm just going to take this and make kind of a round, mostly round, leaving it look kind of like an olive that has a hole in the middle of it. Does that make sense? Going to just leave that light center and going back. So if you're new to Copics, here's my suggestion. Don't be nervous about them. Everybody does it differently. I'm not certified, but I have taken classes and I've watched things online, and there's really great artists that have graciously done some wonderful tutorials on Facebook, not Facebook, on YouTube that you can find. Now I'm going to add the steam in here, and steam is transparent, so I'm going to go with kind of my lighter colors, and I'm not being very exact. I'm going to just basically take my very lightest one, which is C00, and I'm going to fill in that area. But here's a time that I really do kind of want to color outside the line, because steam is not a hard edge object. It's mist. It's liquid that is in steam, and so I intentionally, even when I'm working with my darkest, this isn't my darkest, this is C1, but when I start working with the dark cool gray, which is C number 3, I'm going to let it kind of expand beyond the boundaries of this stamp that is kind of representing the steam, because I want it to have a sense of, yes, that is where it is, but just like you would see steam in other places, it's not self-contained. So I'm going a little wider. The one other thing I want to do is I'm going to take my medium, and I just want to run a little line of shadow around here, because once we get our thank you stamp over the top of it, this will help it pop just a little bit. So I'm going to do that. And then anywhere on here that I want to communicate that there was a little shadow, definitely under the lip of the lid, there's going to be a little shadow, and right underneath this sleeve there's going to be another one. So I'm going to do that, and probably right in here just on these edges again, I'm wanting to make it believable. I'm certainly not going for photorealism, but then I'm going to take the darkest C3 and put it right here where the coffee is coming, and then I'm going to take my lightest, and anywhere that I use that to kind of give a bit of shadow blending, I'm going to blend it out so that it mostly disappears, but it gives a sense that we have that whole little background. And that's all I'm going to do with my Copics. Now, for the background stamp it's a great background stamp, and I love using it. It's Hero Arts. It's Thank You Definition or Defined or whatever. Really, really great. Great stamp, and it's so good for doing so many things. Now, I told you I do these often, so I have made with my Eclipse masking tape. I have a roll of it. I think they make it, Imaginis, I think, makes it in and sheets that you can use, which, you know, are great for die cutting or whatever, but I have a roll of it, and I just roll it out, stamp it, and then when I'm done with it, I attach my mask to the back of my stamp set so that I keep them for the next time that I'm going to do something. And so here I am, I'm going to put this down over here because I'm going to stamp this all over background stamp, and I don't want it to color over my my coffee cup image. And I'm using fine linen. If you have Hero Arts Shadow, I think it's Sandstone, is another light one. I think this will work. I want it to show up, but I don't want it to dominate the image, so I'm going to get a good coverage on this. Make sure we're on there really well. And even though I like working with these with the back side of the stamp facing up. I don't really mount them, but I do use the edge of the stamp kind of as my guideline to know that I've gotten it straight. If I come there and I'm down on the side straight, I put it down and place a piece of scratch paper over it, and I press really hard. I want to make sure that where it is covering up I have masking paper down, I want to give it a little extra press to get that down, the words nice and clear. And take that off, and we'll pick this up, and you can see we have a really nice impression here for our background. And I'm just going to pull up the back of the masking that we did on that leaves it nice and crisp, but you can kind of see through the steam like you would. And I'm going to go back to my cool grays, and I'm going to start with my darkest, and I'm just going to put a little line here, just to I don't like things floating. I want them to have a place to land, so I like doing a little bit of make it look like it's sitting on the table, and then I'll blend that out just a little bit out here. I don't think it needs to be just totally strong and dominant. We want just the essence of it. And now we just need to do the inside sentiment, and I'm going to do thanks a latte, and I have that here. I'm using paper tray ink dark chocolate dye, doing that. And then just as a fun little touch, I have two of the coffee beans that I'm going to ink up and just maybe lay down here on the bottom. There we go. That looks good. And you see, you could really do this, several of them in an evening. Do all of your stamping, do all of your coloring, do all of your shading. I'm going to add a little quarter round on the outside of each of these. And very quickly you would have a whole set of them for you to use. You could wrap them up and give them to a friend who likes coffee and let them be for her to give out. hope this is a fun idea for you, and that you will find something that you can make a focal image and then do a background stamping. If you are participating in the giveaway that I'm doing for World Card Making Day, since I seem to have been the trouble with all of it, we're going to continue it on through this upcoming Sunday, which today is today's the 10th. So we will continue it to Sunday, which would be 11, 12, 13, 14. I think it's like the 15th. I'll double check, put it in the in our description box down below the day that it'll close. I'm not saying you have to make this card. I'm saying if you were inspired by any of the cards that you have seen and want to show us your technique, your take on it, you can do a response video. You can send me a message that says, I'll show this to you, but I'm not ready for anybody else to see it. That's fine. Just send me a link via my private email on YouTube. Send me a personal message and just tell me where to go find it. Do you have it on Flickr? Do you have it on some other gallery or whatever? Because I'd love to see what you're doing. And I'm not telling you what the giveaway is, but it will be fun, because we have to have a little happy time, because we're getting all creative and enjoying making cards. So I want you to take this idea, run with it, make it your own, and I'll be back with another video. I'm probably going to retape the other one as well. And let me know what you think of this new video setup. You all take care. I am blessed to get to know you. Love sharing ideas with you. Inspired by you all daily. So you go out there, have a great time, and be sure and save some time for creative play. I'll be back soon.